Just shall we start now? Thank you. Just a minute. Thank you, Kumanji, and this is another interesting topic actually, and part of the our program, that is the uh, postgraduate diploma in sustainability science, and part of the last course, that is ecological economics, and I think the last block and last unit. And our ultimate objective of whatever services we get from the our ecosystem, that has to be counted, accounted, that has to be included in our income, or income assessment procedure. That is the basic ideas of having this session. And in the previous session, basically we have discussed the the value of ecosystem services. So this today's session is also in continuation of the previous session. Ultimate aim of valuing the ecosystem services is to count them and to include them in our national income. uh, we count the national income in different names, like gross domestic product, or gross net product, or there are different. Nowadays we called our national income, measured our national income in the form of gross value added. So but in the previous session, basically we have understood or discussed the basic basics of valuing this ecosystem services. And first we understood the ecosystem. Ecosystem means the biological environment which is surrounded to us, and it includes the living and non-living organisms. And when this this biological environment which is surrounded to us is interact, or have interaction with the physical and chemical environment, that form basically ecosystem functions. And this ecosystem functions provide various type of the services or goods, or this ecosystem function is is critical uh, to our life. It provides the critical support system for our life, for existence of any living being. So that is very important. And we also understood how to value this ecosystem services. How to value means how to assign a monetary value, how to count the resources or the services provided by the ecosystem in the monetary value, dollars or rupees. So that is the basic idea on for valuation of ecosystem services. It is not necessary that these services or goods are bought or sold in the market. There are methods. By using that methods, we can value, we can provide some monetary value to this ecosystem services or goods. And and basically we have also discussed what are the different goods and services which are there. Now we have done a classification, we have given a classification, and then we have given the term total economic value. So in that we have identified this ecosystem services in two categories: huge values or non-huge values. And we have also understood the different methods of valuations of ecosystem services, and there are three major approaches. One is the market-based approach or market approach, and another is the revealed preference methods or approach. And there are two methods. One is the travel cost method, another is the hedonic price hedonic price methods. And then there is another approach, that is the stated preference approach, and then in that basically we have the contingent valuation methods. So these are the different evaluation methods. We have understood why I'm again giving the we have again recapitulating this thing, because the basic information on this monetary value will come from the valuation methods only. But for green accounting or national income accounting, basically the basic value is will come from the this valuation method. So valuation method is very important. So there are no valuation method is a perfect. Sometimes we have to use multiple methods, or we have to verify the the value with using the other methods. So but today our task is to understand the process of including this the value of ecosystem services in the national income accounting or national accounting. So that is our task. So when we include this the values of ecosystem services, or the environment, or the environmental things uh, in our national income, then we call it as a green accounting, or sometimes environmental accounting. So that is our basic task. So in this session, basically we will be discussing, we will understanding the concept of the conventional uh, GNP as well as the green GNP. So we'll have a difference between the GDP and green GDP, or green conventional GNP or green GNP. Then we will understand the what are the shortcomings in the conventional method of accounting, conventional method of national accounting, or conventional methods of calculating the GDP. Then we will discuss the methods of the green accounting, how we can do the green accounting, how we can include the these environmental cost and benefit in the our national income. Then of course we will also discuss the shortcomings in the green accounting. So let us start with the let us start with the meaning of the green accounting. What is the green accounting? That is our task. So the it is very popular term nowadays, and people like to hear this term green accounting. And this term is used for the environmental accounting or natural resource accounting. And a basic aim of this green accounting is to incorporate environmental assets and their source, and also the sink functions that is performed by the environment into the natural and corporate accounts. So basic idea is to count the our environmental assets and what are their source, and as well also the various things function like waste absorption or pollution absorption. These are the different functions which are performed by the environment. That functions or assets should be included into the national accounts and corporate accounts. Corporate accounts means when a organization or a company do some activities, it also use the different environmental services, and also it also do some it also have some damage on the sometimes on the environmental things. So that has to be incorporated in the corporate or their income, or benefit cost assessment. So this corporate environmental accounting is not much is used in the presently. And but of course this national green account is getting an immense significance, or it is getting discussed among the different functionaries of government or other organization. And in the conventional national account, basically that ignore the observed scarcity of natural resources, which basically threaten to undermine the sustainability of economic performance and growth. So there is no place to mentions about the scarcity of natural resources in our conventional system of measuring the national income. And of course, because if there is a scarcity is growing over the period of time, it will, it will bring the unsustainability in the economic performance of the country, or it will, later on reduce the growth of the economy. So that's why it is very important to, count or observe the scarcity of natural resources in our national account. And also this conventional national account, they, they consider the environmental degradation as a external or social cost of economic activity. So they, they treat this environmental degradation as external factors, and they do not include environmental degradation in their activities, or that is not a part of the items which are included in the aggregation of the national account. So now let us understand the difference between this conventional GNP or green GNP. Conventional means our system of the accounting, which is followed by the government, or we can say, or the national governments. So GDP is the, is the main things. And we can say the gross domestic products, which basically, is the total monetary value of all goods and services produced in an accounting years of a country by using existing factor of production such as land, labor, capital, and organization. So final value of the goods and services which are produced in a country in a years, uh, and when we have aggregation of this value of the production and services, then we are at a figure of gross domestic product, and it is just a measurement of economic activity and does not reflect the sustainability aspect of the economic growth. Why? Because it does not predict, this GDP does not forecast the, the future performance of the economy. It simply measure what has happened in the past. So it does not give, a reflection on sustainability aspect, how the economy will perform in the future. Okay. So there may be, high GDP by over exploiting ecological resources or by misallocating the investment. You know, sometimes, like we give example, our Jharkhand state is having lot of resources, coal resources there, coal mines are there. If the economy or the, production of the Jharkhand state is depend on the coal mine, and if we over exploit that mine, coal mines, so after a few years there will be no coal available in the, and it will, adversely affect the, you know the economy of the state. So, so if, even if the, we can say the GDP is higher and the economy is performed better in a particular year, but we can't say that the state is doing good, because they might be using a lot of ecological resources, and that or exploitation of ecological resources may harm them in the future. So, the another, aspect when we measure the national economy, after GDP, the another, indicator is the gross national product. So it is a monetary value of the final goods and services produced in the current period or current year by domestically owned factors of production at home and or abroad. So, yeah, the difference between GDP and GNP, in the GDP, all the factor of production, maybe from the domestic country or maybe from, the foreign country, they are included in calculating the GDP. But in the gross national product, basically we include the all the factor of production which are owned by the domestic country. Okay. So GNP is equal to GDP plus income earned by the domestically owned factors, uh, even the abroad, if you know, and and minus, we have to do minus, we have to reduce the income earned at home by the foreign owned factors. So here in this GNP, basically we remove the in the impact or output of the output or the products by the foreign owned factors. So again, GNP measure everything that has a market value. So in like GDP or GNP, everything we calculate, which have the market value. But this measure also does not include the contribution of ecological resources and also the degradation or declining stock of ecological resources. So, but whereas green GNP will include the degradation and contribution of natural resources, which is required for achieving sustainable development. So, difference between the conventional GNP and green GNP is that the GNP includes the the degradation and the valuation of degradation or cost of degradation, we can say, and the contribution of the natural resources into national accounts. So we can measure the sustainable growth or sustainable performance or sustainable development. So here, the example to have more understanding. The another similar term is a net domestic product. So when we do the minus of depreciations of the man-made capital from the GDP, then we get the net domestic product. So net domestic product equal to GDP minus depreciation of man-made capital or assets. And so this again, NDP does not take into account the depreciation of natural capital such as the degradation, air degradation, or air, land, water, degradation of air, land, water, and forest. So, our conventional methods, net domestic product equal to GDP minus depreciation. Symbolically, NDP is equal to GDP minus DKM. So, depreciation of man-made capital. So, higher NDP by exporting timber does not ensure sustainable higher green growth. So if we are having good or the growth in the NDP, that does not mean that we are having the sustainable growth or higher growth, higher green growth. And whereas the green GDP, so here what we do, the GDP minus depreciation of both man-made and natural capital. So in the green NDP, what we do, we minus the depreciation of both, that is from the man-made capital or the also the natural capital. So if green NDP rises, then we can say that country growth is a sustainable growth. So okay. So in the NDP, basically, when we do depreciation, we include two type of depreciation. One is the depreciation in the man-made capital, and also we include the depreciation on the natural capital. So that is the environmental resources. So to have more understanding on this, environmental NDP, or we can say the green NDP, the conventional NDP concept is incomplete because it does not take into account the depreciation of the natural capital or assets of the economy. Then by taking into account the depreciation of natural capital, that is KN, we can have a modified NDP. So here, to have a modified NDP or to have the green NDP, so the formula will be GDP minus DKM minus DKN. So here we do two type of minus, that is from the depreciation on the man-made capital and also depreciation on the natural capitals. So this environmental NDP demands us that we are now measuring a modified version of NDP, which take into account the loss and value addition of the natural resources. And one example of this green accounting or green accounting or inclusion of the environmental factors or in natural resources in the GDP. One study was done by this Parikh et al. In 2008, and they measured the state domestic product, that is the green state domestic product for the year 2003 and 4. And they estimated the environmentally adjusted or green state domestic products, and they calculated this green STV as the difference between the actual state domestic product and the loss of the income due to environmental degradation, and it also includes the avoidance cost. So there was a figure already available, that was the state domestic product, and they have calculated they have calculated the loss of income due to the environmental degradation, and also they have calculated this avoidance cost. Avoidance cost means to to minimize the impact of the, like the pollution or the uh, pollutions, or uh, due to the pollution, if there is a health effect and a negative effect, to reduce the pollution, or to uh, air or the water, and there is some expenditure from the government sometimes, so that is called as the avoidance cost. So they have calculated the loss to the income in the to the environment, and also to uh, avoidance cost. Actually, avoidance cost is the cost to protect the environment. Okay, so so they have calculated different figures, like they calculated this uncollected urban municipal solid waste causing loss to the environment, 1.4 crore rupees, and then environmental degradation due to landfill site, 11 crore rupees. Avoidance cost for the solid waste management, 0.4 crore rupees. Then environmental degradation causing loss of income due to the industrial air pollution, that is 517 crore rupees. And then increased environmental capital due to afforestation activities, that is 550 crore rupees. So different cost and benefit from the environmental activities they have calculated, and they reached the figure like that. They calculated the green SDP as a figure of rupees 7,229 crore, and then actual SDP was which was calculated by the government was 9,657 crores. So with all even their study has some limitation on the data and concerning the loss of income due to environmental degradation and avoidance cost. But here there was a difference between this SDP. SDP means state domestic product, as well as the this green SDP. There was a 18% difference, was there between these two figures. So actually, when they calculated this green SDP, it was 18% lesser than the actual the SDP, which was calculated by the government. So it means there was a loss to the environmental resources. Yeah, there is a loss. There was a loss to the ecosystem services. You know, that was 18% of total uh, STP. So this is very important to understand that there may be higher SDP, but it is not there. It may not be there the actual GDP or actual SDP will be the same or more. It may, because if we are over exploiting the our natural resources, or or emphasizing the industrializations, or this or emphasizing of industrialization may be causing harm to the our environmental things, uh, that is also causing loss to the our resources, natural resources. And this natural resources, when we count the actual figure of domestic product, will definitely reduce. Okay, so again, some of the slides highlight the shortcomings of the traditional method of traditional system of national accounting. And actually this traditional system of national accounting, SNA, is recognized as an inadequate because it cannot accurately measure the contribution of environment and the impact of economic activity on it. Because traditional method uh, does not have any procedures or system to measure the contribution of account, uh, contribution of the environment, or also the impact of the environment, impact of the economic activity, like the industrialization on the environment. So there is no as such accurate measure available in the system of national accounting. That is the traditional system of national accounting. And this traditional system of national accounting exclude the non-marketed services which are provided by the natural assets. There are many services, like many services which are provided, which do not have the market value, like water. Water, of course, in the urban area nowadays have some value, but in the rural area, it is free. So it is not non-marketed goods. So what value of water is not included in the traditional system of national accounting. And then in the national system, this traditional system of national accounting, there is a inconsistent treatment of depreciation on man-made and natural assets. There is no as such, method, as such a correct method of calculating depreciation. There are different methods are there. So there is a inconsistent consistencies there in 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 doing the treatment of uh, in calculating the depreciation. So that is there. Then inadequate representation of the degradation of the environment. So there is no representation of the degradation of environment in the traditional system of national accounting. And this system of the traditional system of national accounting give a false impression of increase in income while natural wealth is reducing. Like we have discussed the case study of Goa, where there was a more SDP, state domestic product was there, but when the researchers calculated the green SDP, it was actually less than the SDP. So it gives the false impression that our economy is growing, or there is a income is there, per capita income is there. But when we include sometimes the our natural wealth in the counting, it may reduce. And then to include this, to have a green accounting, or to include the environmental factor in the the national accounting. There was a various initiations, to actually, after the realization that we need to care our environment or natural resources. And there was a lot of importance given, immense significance was given for the integration of natural resources into system of national account. you know and so actually this importance, basically, in the Rio summit, in 1992, they recommended this system of integrated environmental economic accounting by all the signatory countries. They should have this, the integrated environmental and economic accounting. And then in the and there was efforts were also there to standardize the framework for calculating the this environmental accounting or green accounting, and to have a concentrated efforts. The United Nations, they brought a book, and they brought a handbook in 1993, and again they revised that handbook in 2003 to have to guide the country, signatory country, to adopt this integrated environmental economic accounting, that is in short, that is called as the SCCA. So I know we have also earlier also we have understood there are different flaws, there are different shortcomings in the conventional system of national accounting. Like the conventional estimate take into account only the goods and services which are traded in the market, and they does not include the non-marketed goods and services which are provided by the ecosystems, like forest help in the flood control, prevent soil erosion, provide timbers and fuel wood. There are many other services which are provided by the our environment or ecosystem services, which are not included in the other conventional system. Okay, so only marketed goods or services are included in the conventional system. Then the traditional system of national accounting, they neglect the stock of resources as well as the environment, and so their depletion coupled with the degradation of environmental quality. So both the things, in the degradation in the availability or supply of the natural resources, as well as there is a degradation in the quality parameter is also there. So both the things, both quantity and quality, is not included in the SNA. And then SNA also do not adequately represent the degradation of environment. It ignored basically it ignored the capability of the environment to dispose of waste, sink functions which are performed by the ecosystem, that is ignored by the traditional methods, even though its ability to absorb the pollutant. Example is that the environment has the ability to absorb the pollutant, is a valuable services to both producer and consumer. Even the capacity of the environment to absorb the pollutant have a the impact, positive impact of the benefit. It provide benefit to both producers. If industry is doing some pollution, but that is also benefited from this characteristics or this ability of the environment to absorb the pollutant, and consumers are also benefited. So in that condition, the SNA is ignored that. So again, we can define in the green accounting in a systematic manner. So it is also called the environmental accounting, and basically refer to the modification of the system of national account to incorporate the use and depletion of natural resources. So environmental accounting or green accounting means the modification of the system of national account, that is NSA, to incorporate the use of depletion and of use and depletion of natural resources, and it is a vital tool to assist in the management of environmental and operational cost of natural resources. So from this accounting, basically we get the idea how much natural resources are depleting, how much what is the cost to conserve this natural resources. So that type of idea we get, and it help in the management of environmental resources. And this green accounting or environmental accounting permit the permits the computation of income for a nation by taking into account the economic damage or depletion in the natural resource base of the country. So this green accounting, basically it measures the sustainable development by correcting the national income accounts for the depletion of natural capitals. And it is a kind of notion of incorporating the use of natural resources and environment into national accounts. And it takes the this is green accounting basically take into account the environmental resources as well as the services which are provided by the environment, and also includes the changes on the environmental resources or environmental services over the period of time. So this green accounting basically reveal the true maximum income which a nation can consume while maintaining a sustainable development. So basically through this process or through this accounting, we get a idea how much maximum income which we can have in a country while maintaining the our sustainable development. So basically, we calculate the environmentally adjusted net domestic product or environmentally adjusted net income by by obtaining the environmental cost. So now we'll move to the approaches of green accounting. How we can include this the environmental cost or the value of the depletion of the natural resources or value of the services which we used from the natural resources or ecosystem services. So there are three approaches. One is the pollution expenditure accounting, the physical accounting or extension of the SNA type system. So whatever the system, traditional system, national accounting is there, and how we are using, how we can modify them to include in our to have the green accounting. Okay, so here you can see the first approach is the pollution expenditure accounting, and so basically in this approach we develop the data series on the pollution abatement. With other environmental expenditure. So if a country makes an expenditure, makes an investment to reduce the environment and the environmental pollutions, or to have the the some programs to reduce the pollutions, and so uh, if a country maintain the data on the pollution abatement or other environmental expenditure, that is called a pollution expenditure accounting. So like USA or other OECD country, they are maintaining the pollution expenditure series or data on the pollution expenditures. So that is we can say that these are the expenditure we are uh, a country is making to protect the environment. So that cost has to be included in the national income or national system of the accounting. So this method is having the limitations like the and data refer to expenditure already incurred. So whatever the expenditure is being made on the pollution abatement, that has been already included in the national system also. So they should not be considered as a addition to conventional economic account. So this information is already there in the conventional system of accounting. So there is no need to have additional uh, additional change, or it should be not be included in the conventional economic accounts. The other method is the this physical accounting, and it give little bit more idea about the the environmental factors. So in this approach, basically we supplement the conventional economic accounting. We supplement the conventional system of national accounting with the physical information about the natural environment and its status. So when we calculate the our conventional system, when we calculate the GNP, gross national product, or GDP, Basically, we also collect the information about the availability of the natural resources, and we prepare the description of the natural resources available in the country, and what are the changes taking places in the availability of natural resources over the period of time that we can mention. So what we do here, we do accounting of the stocks or changes in the stock in physical, that is the that is the non-monetary unit, for example, the weight, area, or number. So here, every year we mentions about how much forest area is available, and how many trees are there, hmm, how many water resources are there. So like physical uh, information about the physical parameters we include in the national system of accounting, so that we call as a physical accounting. So not only the the quantity data, we can also include the qualitative data or qualitative measure we can do here, which can supplement the quantitative measure of our environmental resources. So when we combine these two changes in the quantity or as well as in the uh, quality also aspect, that we call as a volume change in the natural resources. So like example is there, we can mention about the area under dense forest or open forest, or volume of stock of timber or area disturbed by the fire. Or another example, we can mention about the quality of air in terms of CO2 emissions or suspended particulate matter, or also the nitrogen oxide emission in the air. So like that, quantity and quality data about the natural resources we can mention in the national system of accounting, or national accounting system, or conventional accounting system, that we call as a physical accounting system. And the last approach, or the third approach, is the extension of SNA type system. So basically it is a combination of the United Nations satellite system integrated environmental and economic accounting approach. This approach is also called as a green accounting, and also the environmental and natural resource accounting framework, which was adopted in the Philippines. So it is a kind of combination. So what we earlier discussed, the integrated environmental and economic accounting approach, uh, that was followed by the United Nations. So it is a basically combination of, so principal difference between these two approach, this SEEA or ENRAP is the basically the adherence of SNA concept. Like the SEA basically more concerned about the principle of counting, principle of calculating the national account, then the economic theory. But is this NARP approach basically more focused on the different economic theory of the growth and development. So now this basically this approach of integrated system, or this integrated environmental and economic accounting approach, it has different objectives and different, ob- different objectives. And one of the objective, or basically one of the highlight of this approach, the green accounting approach, is the basically the division of environmental related flows and stock of traditional accounts. So here what we do, and what are the changes we make. The first changes we make in the national system of in the traditional system of national accounting, is that we do separate treatment of total expenditure for the protection of environment. So whatever expenditure is there on the protection of the environment, like India, we have the various conservation programs, soil conservation programs or afforestation program. So whatever the expenditure we are making, we highlight that expenditure in the traditional or system of national accounting. So these expenditures are treated as a defensive expenditure to compensate for the negative impact of economic growth due to economic activities or progress in the economic activities. It has a negative impact on the the expenditure. So that expenditure we are making on the that expenditure which we are making to protect the our environment, you know that is called as a defensive expenditure. So we highlight that defensive expenditure in the our traditional system, like traditional GNP. We highlight the we give special description or special importance, or we especially we figure out this expenditure. you know. Then the another highlight of this SEA method or approach is we link the physical account with the monetary environmental accounts. So here what we do, we create a corresponding link between the natural environment and economy in physical terms. So in other words, basically we can say for every monetary stock or flow account of associate, there will be a corresponding physical counterpart account. So when we calculate the GNP or GDP, not only the the monetary value is given, but we also mention about the physical value. Physical value means physical, the quantity of that particular item. So that we have a idea about the physical resources. So physical resources as well as the quality of the quality of the that natural resources. So both the things we can include along with the monetary value that factors. Then this green accounting or SEA, basically they expand or they complement the the uh, traditional system of national account with respect to the valuation of cost and benefit of the environmental goods and services. So basically what we do, this we have the costing. We calculate the cost of utilization of the environmental resources in production process and final demand. And so basically we include the cost of environmental degradation by the process of pollution. So whatever the pollution is there in the economy, so we calculate the cost of that pollution, cost of pollution as a cost of environmental degradation. So here basically we value we have the valuation of cost and benefit of the environmental goods and services. And basically we like we discussed earlier also that we include the we include or we measure the natural the natural capital also, like we expand the meaning of the capital to include not only the man-made but also we include the natural capital. So not only the man-made capital we include, no, we also include the natural capital. So their depreciation, so their availabilities, their supply, we also include while calculating. So natural capital basically comprise of our scale renewable resources, non-renewable resources, as well as the cyclical resources like water. So, and then the another objectives or another important highlight of this SEA or green accounting is the assessment of indicator of environmentally adjusted products and income. So basically, whatever we calculate, the GDP we calculate using this method is a basically environmentally adjusted GDP, we can say. So it basically measures the cost of the depletion of natural resources and change in the environmental quality. Also, we calculate the modified macroeconomic aggregates. Macroeconomic aggregates means the GDP or GNP. Uh, that macroeconomic aggregates calculated using this different objectives or highlights is called as a environmentally adjusted net domestic product or environmentally adjusted gross domestic product or environmentally adjusted GDP. So there are different problems also. There are different shortcomings of the green accounting, like the major problem arises when some of the consequences of the environmental pollution become visible after a long time. Like example, I will give here. You know, the farmers use the pesticides to control the pest and diseases, and there is no immediate implication or there is no immediate impact on the society or human being. So there is no immediate consequences. But after few years, you will find when limit in cost the the range or and there will be negative impact. There is not lot of cancer, health issues arises after 4 5 years or 5 years. So when we calculate this is the calculation of green accounting or the GDP is for 1 year. So in that particular 1 year, there is no impact on the society, so we are not calculating. But whatever the pesticides we used in a particular years, they have an impact after few years. So estimating green accounting also basically estimating the immediate consequences, and so in immediate consequences is that there is no harmful impact of pesticides, we can say. So that may lead to a wrong policy decision. Okay. So we may if we are recommending a certain package of practices or package of cultivation, which includes the pesticides also sometimes, but immediately we are getting the good production, but in the long terms, there may be harmful impact on the environment. So that impact is not not calculated by the green accounting system also. Unlike the unlike the market prices, which are used by uh, the system of national accounting, there is no simple justifiable valuable system for the green accounting. It's for the valuation purpose, like we have discussed the different approaches of valuations in the last session on 15th of May. And we have seen in that approach there is no simple methods available to have a valuation. So for different aspect of environmental problems, we have different valuation problems. We have different type of methods. So you know like prevention and restoration costs is basically market based approach, or there may be a contingent valuation method. I know the resources we do not have the market value, the, which the resource which are not marketed in the which is not marketed, we, we may use the contingent valuation method. So there are different methods are there. There is so there is a lot of theoretical and arbitrary constructions is there. This valuation is very difficult. So if there is a valuation is wrong, the of course the accounting system will be wrong. The valuation in the national, the inclusion in the national account will be wrong. So this is the common problem, or common problem is this is a major problem. We can say that we do not have a proper valuation method for our green resources or ecosystem reports or environmental thing. Then the pricing of all environmental variables in the monitoring in the green accounting has consequences. Like the accounting system is restricted to those variables which are easily monetize. So whatever the uh, things we are including in an accounting, we include only those things which are easily monetized. We can do easily monetization. We can easily evaluate this goods and services. So that is why we are reducing the range of accounting systems. So all goods and or services which are provided by the environment or ecosystem services cannot be included or are not being included in the green accounting, because we are not able to do the proper valuation. We are not able to have the value of the some of the variables which are important part, which are providing services to us. The monetization of environmental variables and their concentration of only a few aggregates result in the drastic reduction of the green accounting system, because we are not including all the items, of the environmental degradation. And actually, we are not able to count all the negative impact of on the environmental things. So even we do have the green accounting, it may not represent proper environmental values or environmental things in the national account. So with this, my presentation over. And basically, in this session, we have discussed about uh, the green accounting. So, and we have differentiated the green accounting with the conventional methods of accounting the economy. So we have made a clear distinction between the green GNP or the conventional GNP. And then we have also discussed the approaches like in the system of integrated environmental economy. And so that United Nations has developed, and there is handbook is also available for that purpose. And then we have discussed the different approaches like pollution expenditure accounting, and then physical accounting, and also the modification in the conventional accounting system. And there are limitations are also there in the green accounting that we also discuss. Now the session is open for the discussion.
Before that, let us have a photo session, please. Please come on the video. All are requested to come in video.